Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Tyler Carruthers here with Primetime Addiction, and what we're going to talk about is the proper way to shoot a thumb button release. A lot of great videos out there. Joel Turner's probably the best one to learn from, and so over the last few years I've shot a thumb button. This is my second thumb button that I've had, and it's my favorite. It's a stand PerfeX, and I wish it's the short neck, and I wish they still made it, but they don't. So whenever this decides to crap the bed, I'm gonna have to search for something else. But anyways, that's besides the point. What we're going to talk about is how to properly shoot it and how to check to see if you are properly shooting it. So I know the other day Dan from ElkShape dropped a video with Joel Turner, and they were talking about thumb buttons and index finger butt releases and stuff like that, and hinges and everything like that. And I switched from an index finger to a thumb button years ago because I was a trigger puncher. I would get drawn and I'd stick that finger up there and ka-chow. And so I realized quickly that that was not the proper way to do it, and it wasn't very consistent. Now, yes, you can still kill deer and everything like that, but I have dove deep down the rabbit hole into archery and enjoy shooting so much that I'm wanting to be as consistent as possible. And so I'm hoping that this video finds that right person that is like me, that is just trying to be consistent and be better each and every day. And so over the last year or so, I've really tried to work on how I hold my thumb button. When I first got it, it's a True Fire Synapse, so it had the small barrel, and I would just kind of put my finger on the edge of it and I'd still smash it. And so I quickly realized that that was still not fixing the issue. Just because I changed releases didn't make it work. And so I was like, well, let me try to get a hinge and see if that works. And the hinge was great to reset myself, but it wasn't something that I felt consistent to shoot enough at, you know, for hunting scenarios or for even like total archery challenge. And so that's when I picked up a stand and really fell in love with it. It is just the thumb button. They make a couple of different stands. That's a clicker and stuff like that now, but this is just you know, you lock it and it has to be shot with thumb. There's no click and then pull or anything like that. And so what I like to do is to get it deep in my thumb down here and try my best to get my thumb and my index finger to touch. And what that does is, one, that consistently knows that where the release is in my hand, which I think is, you know, obviously we're chasing consistency in archery, and so everything that I can do to be consistent with, I try to, you know, mimic that. And so the best thing I found was to try to get really close to touching those. Maybe it's barely, but if I know I'm touching those, then I know the release is in my hand, how I have shot it in the past. And so that's what I try to do. And then I don't necessarily try to pull through the shot, because I find that it makes my bow arm kind of go all over the place and I get real jumpy with it. And so what has worked for me is to basically just squeeze my hand and to make a fist. And I don't have this set super hot. I mean, it's not heavy by no means, but I've made it a little bit heavier since I've started doing this, and it's made me squeeze and pull ever so slightly. The big issue that I hear and see people say is, well, you got to pull through your shot. Well, that's great until when you pull and you pull your shoulder blades back and you're basically pinching your back. Well, you see what happens with your bow arm right there is it makes you go left. So when you think pull, I try to drive my elbow straight back, and what that's gonna do is should keep your bow arm straight. If you pull here, you're gonna shake, or you're gonna drift to the left, or vice versa if you're shooting left-handed and you pull through. So with me, what I found by basically just squeezing my hand, you're naturally going to go back, because obviously you're holding the bow at full draw, and then it releases, and so you're naturally going to, you know, go back a little bit. I think some people over exaggerate this to make them feel like they're pulling like they're supposed to, And if it works for you, great. But you'll see me shoot, I don't have a big draw, I don't have a big pull. Like I said, when I shoot, I think squeeze, and I try to get my elbow to go straight back instead of going behind me. And so one thing I want to offer up as a tip to see if you're doing that consistently is whether you've got you know, a fancy video camera, but you can just take your cell phone and put it on record, and I would put it sideways, and I would set it up on the side angle to where you can see your hand. But I would also offer up this, put it behind you, and that way you can see which way your elbow and your body is going when you're shooting, and that should help you be able to you know, correct your mistakes. And guys, like, you can do that inside, you can do it outside, you can, I mean, it doesn't have to be very far. Like, all you're working on is your shot. Like, you're not worried about how far you can shoot and everything like that. So every evening I try to get up here in the shop and at least fire off, you know, 5 to 10 arrows just into the target at 5 yards, just so I can continue to work on squeezing and pulling ever so slightly. That's how you become consistent. And so I hope that helps somebody. I know, like I said, I'm by no means am I Levi Morgan or Dan Staton or Joel Turner or anything like that, but it got me intrigued to think about of what they were saying. And I know a lot of guys, they talk, you know, they'll say pull, pull, pull. Well, for me, if I pull, 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 I'm pulling my bow off target. And so the real big ticket for me is just to squeeze your hand, to make a fist. Everybody can do that. A lot of times you can just sit there with your release and just squeeze your hand and get comfortable with that. But in order to help yourself, put your phone up on sideways, get a side view and a back view of a couple shots, slow it down and see what your hand's actually doing. So I hope this tip helps you like it has helped me over the last few years. Remember, nothing's impossible.